1999 is considered the greatest year in cinematic history. It's true. I came across this Reddit post from 3 years ago, and it makes a bold statement saying it is. So, end of story, right? Clearly, that's not the end of the story, and you're probably here now wondering why 1999 was such a great year for movies. Well, there was a book written on it back in 2019. I'm assuming it's a great book. I did buy the book 3 years ago. I haven't read it yet. I will eventually get to it, but I was 13 years old in 1999, so I would say I am a pretty authoritative figure when it comes to if these movies were really that great. And the last couple years, I have been preoccupied with reading a lot of lit RPGs, and I'm currently consumed with Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I'm pretty excited about because Peacock did just pick it up to make a television series, which will probably be out in the next 2 to 3 years. So I am definitely looking forward to that. I'm sure it's going to be great. But I digress. So many classics came out that year. Movies that include American Beauty, American Pie 2, Any Given Sunday, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Being John Malkovich, Big Daddy, The Blair Witch Project, The Iron Giant, South Park, Fight Club, The Matrix, Episode 1, The Sixth Sense, Toy Story 2, Varsity Blues. And you had those movies that didn't quite do well on the silver screen, but once they were released on VHS, they found a strong cult following. And those movies include Boondock Saints, Dogma, and probably one of the most cited and memeified movies of 1999, Office Space.
What the heck is VHS?
Before we dive into whether this is the best year for movies ever, we have to talk about Y2K really quick. So just bear with me here, okay? So just a couple minutes of your time.
Little away, but don't go nuts.
Yvonne and Chester Rich are getting ready for Y2K.
A lot of crackers and stuff for the cats.
Salmon. We have a gas stove so I can cook. If I have water, we're going to stock up on a little water.
Water is at the top of the list that the Texas Department of Emergency Management recommends you keep on hand. Most items can be gathered at your local grocery store. Such items as non-perishable food, a manual can opener, personal hygiene items such as shampoo, soap, deodorant, and a toothbrush. Eyeglasses, a first aid kit, and prescription medications are also on the list.
We have had a couple of people ask about it, but really, no, for the most part, we haven't.
They're making too much out of it. It's not going to be anything. Just another day. Of course, I may be wrong.
But just in case, stores like Albertsons are ordering extra. They even have a Y2K order list.
We're asking, what are they buying these things for? And they're basically saying they're trying to get prepared.
Much as they are at local hardware stores, where the biggest sellers are ammunition, gun safes, kerosene lamps, and water jugs. But if you're looking for a generator, forget it. There are none.
I don't think anybody is really worried about anything happening, but they are wanting to be prepared.
I'm Dave Johnson for Team 4 News.
1999 was a crazy year, and not only were normal people freaking out, but you had famous celebrities who were freaking out as well. I remember Busta Rhymes on MTV. They asked him a question and he started going on a rant about how this is it, this is 1999, there's going to be nothing after that. Or was that Dr. Dre? You had Spock, Leonard Nimoy, giving a public announcement.
At the stroke of midnight, January 1st, 2000, elevators may stop. Heat may vanish. Credit cards and ATMs may cease to function. Airplanes and trains may come to a halt.
Well, Leonard, when January 1st, 2000 happened, nothing happened. Okay, now you're probably asking, hey Tech, what does this have to do with movies in 1999? And to be honest, I am not quite sure. I had this really great concept in tying Y2K to these movies in 1999, but what made movies in 1999 so great? Well, let's jump into that. And hopefully, maybe you'll learn something about Y2K, or maybe after watching this video, you're going to go down a very, very deep rabbit hole about Y2K. So, you're welcome. So obviously, I won't be able to go over the entire movie catalog of 1999. So I want to share three movies that aren't necessarily the best movies of 1999, but these movies I would say represent all the angst, the anxieties, the worries, the joys that were going on in the 1990s. And I know we have this romantic view of pre 9/11 where everything was hunky dory, but there was a lot of things going on in 1990. A lot of craziness was happening in the 1990s. And for those of you who are my age or maybe a little bit older, some of us like to think of the 90s as this magical paradise, which it wasn't. And yeah, sure, you had the Nickelodeons and the MTVs, but out in the real world, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. We had the O.J. Simpson trial, and before that, there was the Rodney King beating that led to the LA riots where 53 people were killed. And in 1991, the Cold War ended. And that was a really, really big deal. So there was a lot of things that were happening then, just like today. But I say that because movies have always been a place where people can go to escape, and all that craziness, all that anxiety that people just wanted to get away from, well, they found comfort in the movie theaters. And a lot of those movies that came out in 1999 was a great way of escapism. Wow, I think I found my tie in there. Yeah, good job. So the idea for this film was first conceived by Daniel Merrick and Eduardo Sanchez when they were film students in the University of Central Florida back in 93. They eventually wrote this 35-page script in 1996 and they started casting for people, and they needed people with improvisational skills, people who knew how to improvise. And they narrowed down like 2,000 people down to three: Heather, Mike, and Josh. So those are their actual names and the names that they use in the movies. The camera guy, Josh, he was hired because he knew how to work his way around a camera. And that was the only camera in the movie. There was like no outside shots. Everything was done on that camera. So everything was in first person, basically. So the premise of this movie is that there were these three film students who went out into the woods in October 1994 in Burkittsville, Maryland, and they disappeared. And a year later, their footage was found. Sounds like a documentary, right? And again, like I mentioned, people thought that this movie was real. When they went to go screen it in Sundance, people didn't go crazy. People were quiet because later on, the creators found out that people were actually scared because they felt like they were in the documentary, like they were actually feeling what was going on. And there was an actor, Tay Diggs. Maybe some of you know Tay Diggs. He was surprised because after watching the screening for the movie, he went outside and they're like, "Hey, the actors are having a Q&A," and it's like, "Wait, the actors? Wait, that that was a movie? That was an actual documentary?" The Blair Witch Project definitely defined 1999. And the creators, when they made that movie, I think they spent like $22,000 of their own money. And I can't remember which one, whether it was Daniel or Eduardo. They said, hey, if the movie wasn't going to get picked up, then they would have to file for bankruptcy. So that initial $22,000 investment eventually made over $100 million in the box office. So that's pretty cool. Like I mentioned, I haven't seen this movie in a while, but because I am talking about it, clearly that movie left an impact on me. And again, even though I didn't watch the movie in theaters in 1999, I still remember when that movie came out, or again, the time that it was coming out, the hysteria that was being filled during that time because of this movie. So if you haven't seen the Blair Witch Project, that is definitely one movie that you need to go see that came out in 1999. If you made it here, that means you made it to the end of the video, but not the end of the story because you're probably asking, hey, wait a minute, aren't there two more movies I need to go over? Yes, there is. And I decided to break this video up into two parts. Hopefully, you don't mind. I just wanted to make this content a little bit more digestible. So, part two will be dropping here soon. And for now, let me know what you thought about this first part. And if you did like it, well, give me a like and let me know what you thought about in the comments. And do you agree with the Blair Witch Project as being one of the movies that defined 1999? So I hope to see you in part two of this video. Until then,